in reading your resumes, I noticed you all graduated the same year from the Naval Academy. So given that, I don't mean to embarrass you, that it's about, 36 years ago? It sort of falls within this 30-year plan that we're talking about. So give me a very practical approach. And my practical question to the three of you, and I haven't forgotten you, you kind of don't fit. With the rest of you, we're talking about a 30-year plan. You've been around 36 years. Would you be able to, of course you wouldn't have the positions you have, but given that, you can answer in terms of what major changes you've seen that you would have been able to predict and not predict in that 36-year period. And given that, I'm just trying to get a good feel for sort of what Ranking Member Cooper was saying. You know, how impossible is this? Would you back then been able to look forward and predict where we are today? And what would you say about we're looking at shipbuilding. So would you be able to even say in that period of time that we are where we should be in terms of ships today? And would you have had the magic wand, and would you have been able to do that? I think it's just interesting that you're all graduated the same year, so there's nobody who can say, well, 10 years ago it wouldn't have been the same. So given all of your experiences and your common background, could you answer my question? I don't care what order you do it.
As the one who had their first choice of service selection, and for the record, I'm the youngest of the three.
I'm not asking what rank you graduated. Okay, just
ma'am, I think the first part is I've been listening today, and I do agree with Admiral Stanley. I think the key part of this is you have to have a strategic basis for what your plan is. And there was an Army general once said, we're never going to get the future 100% right. We can't afford to be 100% wrong. So there is a value to doing a long-range plan. As to whether that's 20 or 30 years, I tend to agree with Admiral Stanley that 20 years is about right. But then what you also have to be able to do is when you build the execution plan to get there in 20 years, you are searching for consistency and stability. And I think that means on a yearly basis then you need to take a look at what assumptions that you have based your plan and whether they're going to play out. For example, if you have a ship delay in construction, what does that do to the rest of the plan? And you need to take a look at that every year. If there's a maintenance issue, are you right? And I think that if you focus on the 5 years of the program, when we do a defense program, that's really where the focus is, but that should underpin, I think, a 20-year effort that's based on some strategic context.
Well, ma'am, for the record, is the best looking of the three.
Okay.
As you go back and you look, I think you have significant events that take place almost on a 10-year basis. I'll give you the best example. No one, I think, could have predicted the Vietnam drawdown. We were all midshipmen at the Naval Academy when that started. No one could have predicted the Reagan buildup when it started in the 80s. No one could have predicted the peace dividend with the Cold War coming to an end in the 90s. No one, I think, would have predicted in 2000 that we were only a short time away from events such as 9/11 and that we would be involved in 2 wars today. So I think your point is absolutely accurate in that no one of us can predict, if you will, what the future will hold. I do, however, believe that planning is indispensable, and I think you have to have a corroborative process that gets you there. You have to have, and I look at the current shipbuilding plan. I think if we hadn't had a look at the long range, whether it's 10 years or 20 years, we wouldn't necessarily have focused on the fact that we have a significant challenge with the SSB&X program. We wouldn't necessarily see that our surface force combatants, our cruisers and destroyers, are going to go away in large numbers in the 20s. We wouldn't necessarily have been able to project the fact that our submarine numbers are going to go down. And that we have to address that. You know, one of our goals, which we have accomplished in recent times, is we are now able to build 2 submarines a year, which is no small accomplishment given the fiscal constraints we operate under. So I would say, as you look across that, there is significant value in the planning process. I would go to the point, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, when you go out to 30 years, that last 10 years is notional. It's a 1-for-1 replacement. If you were to ask me what would I look at, I think we do need to focus on that 20-year period. because we cannot project those events like the peace dividend or the Reagan buildup or whatever event it happens to be. And so it's important that we have that, because I guarantee you in 2000, none of us were looking at the use of the UAVs that we currently have in inventory back in 2000. No one, I don't think, projected that by 2011 we'd have the number of assets available for the purposes that are now being used. So I definitely agree with you that you have to do that from that perspective.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, can I ask that the remaining Admiral and General respond in writing?
Yes.
Thank you
Ms.
very
Van
much.
Loosa, thank you so much. We appreciate that.